Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Divine Feminine Oracles. And of course, we are here on Maison Jupiter and on Beyond Mystic simultaneously. And I'm Julie from Maison Jupiter. I'm here with my soul sister, Meg Moonbeam, from an undisclosed location on the road. Hi, Meg. How are you? And welcome to the show.
I'm good. Very happy to be here. We made it with the Mercury retrograde, all the glitches and everything. So very happy to be with you, Julie, and all of our soul family out there.
Yeah, very happy to be with you. We were having some Mercury retrograde glitches just before coming live. Of course, that's like a traditional thing, I guess, every Mercury retrograde. So, and of course, when we're on the road, like we're never sure of the connection. So, how are you doing, Meg? And how have you been with your little traveling here and there?
I'm good. There's been a lot of Mercury retrograde issues. It's been like one thing after another after another. And I kind of had a realization today that, and I'd like to hear what you think, Julie. It may be because I have Mars in the third house. So I never thought of that before, but there's so many different things that have screwed up and gotten delayed with my travels over the past 3 weeks that I was like, what is it? Is it something about my chart? Like, what's going on? And the only thing I could think of is, well, I have Mars in the third house, which I know isn't good for cars. And I've had a lot of issues with cars in my life. But the third house is the house of Gemini. Mercury ruled. So
Oh, right. So it makes you more impulsive when you're like doing road trips and traveling and more impatient when something goes wrong.
yeah. So I don't know. Could be wrong about that, but it's the only thing I can think of right now.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But I feel like everybody traveling at the time of a Mercury retrograde experiences a lot of annoyances and glitches and delays and traveling delays, most importantly. So I think it's quite normal for the period that we're now in. So let us know in the chat, how are you doing with this Mercury retrograde and plus this Venus retrograde about to go direct in just a few days. Hi Ben, nice to see you. Hello everybody watching. We're really happy to be with you. And Sophie couldn't join. She also has connection issues. She's on the road as well. So we're doing our best to spend this time with you. And of course, if you are watching from the Beyond Mystic channel, I'll just put it on the screen right here. Don't forget to give us a like if you do enjoy this content. And don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you are watching from Beyond Mystic, please also give us a like on the Maison Jupiter channel. We just reached 11,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for all your support. And for all your support, we do really appreciate you, and your likes and your subscribes gives us like all the support we need to produce all those shows. So thank you so much for your support. And if you would like to ask us a question, we'll get to your personal questions towards the second part of the show. And you'll be able to give us a super chat on here on the Maison Jupiter channel, where we're going to look at your questions in just a few minutes. And before we dive into our main content for today, which will be the Pisces full moon exact tomorrow. Of course, you can find Meg here on maisonjupiter.com, and you can book a one-on-one consultation with her if you have even more personal questions you'd like to ask her. And that's pretty much the best way to do it, because we'll go through the 12 signs tonight, but of course, it's a general read. So if you have more personal questions, please do so and book with Meg. And don't forget also Beyond Mystic in one word discount code when you're at checkout to get your 10% off your next reading. Wow, Meg. Okay. What a day. What a week. Crazy. Okay. So yeah, we will talk about tonight the full moon in Pisces, which will be exact tomorrow on August 30th. So I'd like to know, Meg, before I have a slide there, I have a couple questions for you. But before we dive into the details of this full moon, what's your general feeling of this energy? And what have you been feeling yourself and around you regarding this full moon conjuncting Saturn?
Well, I feel like the thing that sticks out the most for me with this full moon in Pisces that we're going to be having tomorrow, right? It's tomorrow, the 30th exact, is the conjunction with Saturn that it's going to have. Because Pisces is the sign that rules the magical realm, you know, airy fairiness and spirituality, and really the dream world. And Saturn is the planet of reality check and having your shit together and being responsible. So I feel like there's a funny opposite energy going on, and I feel it is a really big reality check of illusions that we may be having that are known or unknown. So I feel like that can really come up for people, is some illusions coming forward, maybe with yourself or other people around you, or in the collective that you've maybe never thought of before, that are coming into the present moment for you for awareness. So I'm really feeling that with the full moon. What do you feel like?
Yeah, I was looking at memes just before coming live, and I read one of them was like, disillusionment is part of the awakening process, and it
Mm,
made me remember of this full moon, which has everything to do with disillusionment. I feel so. I feel like you're right on the ball with that. As you said, Saturn is kind of a reality check, sometimes more violent one, especially when it happens at the same time as a full moon in Pisces. So I feel like there will be a lot of karmic endings around this full moon, because both the full moon is a completion and ending of some cycle, and the sign of Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign. So it's also a completion of some sort.
mm,
And if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, it's the return to the dissolution of the material to return to oneness. But if you look at it from a material standpoint, it's an ending, it's the end of something. And conjuncting Saturn, it's also the planet of a karmic separation of some sort. So Elena was talking to me earlier, and she was like, "Oh, I feel like we'll be living through a death of some kind, like not an actual one, but a transformation of some sort in one area of our lives." So I thought that was interesting, an interesting analogy.
yes.
And it also, I'll get into the details in just a few minutes, but it's also at a Libra degree. So I'm thinking that a lot of relationship could have, let's say, changed in their dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might be also breaking up, just to mention some possibilities, of course. And I'm curious to see, let us know in the chat, because usually we kind of feel the themes a few days before the full moon is exact. So let us know how you've been feeling this energy, and how is it affecting your, let's say, your mental state. How do you feel? Do you feel more isolated, more depressed? Do you feel like you're being disillusioned in some area of your life? Let us know. I always like to hear what you have to say. And Carol is saying here on the screen, great Astro Woo, by the way. Thank you so much, Carol. So yeah, we just recorded yesterday. I forget because I'm like, oh my god, it seemed like it was a few days ago, but no,
Mm-hmm.
that was yesterday. We just recorded this one, so the new Astro Roof for the month of September. So we went through the astrology of the month of September. So if you haven't watched it, it's also available on Rumble, and Beyond Mystic Rumble, and on the Beyond Mystic channel. That was a good one, Meg. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, that was fun. For me too, it feels like weeks ago, and that was yesterday.
That was
So
yesterday.
honestly, so something really weird is going on with the time as well. Because as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, we did that. When was that? That was yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy, because I was like, oh my god, that felt like such a long time ago. But it's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that also, because Saturn rules time, and Pisces rules also like the dissolution of
Mm,
time and of timelines. So maybe we jumped on another timeline while we were sleeping. Who knows?
makes sense.
That would make sense. Okay, so before we dive into your comments and into more of this full moon, I just wanted to mention that the beautiful Carla has a pyramid for tonight for one of you lucky supporters. And I really love this one. And I think it's also one of Carla's favorite. It's Gaia. My mom has this one. She really loves it. So let's listen to what she has to say about that.
Hi everyone, this is Carla from Ascension Orgonites. Today I wanted to show you one of my favorite pieces that I've ever made. Her name is Gaia, and I named her after our beautiful Mother Earth because I feel like she embodies all the elements of our planet. So Gaia is made out of brass metals and green citrine crystals. Green citrine is very known for bringing prosperity and abundance and also healing the heart. And I feel like our planet is all about that abundance. She also has the flower of life symbol in gold. So I'll give her another quick turnaround so you can see her. And I hope you like her. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla. Ooh, who's calling me? I'm live. Don't call me.
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And also, I'll just nope. Okay, I just declined. Yes, I'm like all over the place right now. I'll try to focus on one thing, Mercury retrograde. So you can also visit Carla on ascensionorgonites.com, where she also has her Archangels promo going until August 31st, which is in 2 days. So still have time to take advantage of this sale. So buy one pyramid of the Archangel collection and get 15% off with Archangels 15, or buy 2 or more and get 20% off with the code Archangels 20. So yes, thank you so much, Carla, for this beautiful pyramid. So this one is going to go to one of the super chats for tonight. And also we got a beautiful element candle from the Beyond Mystic collection. And tonight it will be the water candle, since we're going to be talking about the Pisces energy, the Pisces full moon. So this element collection candle is Palo Santo fragrance, and the crystal that's infused in there is an amethyst. So it's really good to connect to your spiritual side, to get even more insight, to feel really connected with your third eye and your crown chakra, and to really dive deep into the energies of this beautiful full moon. So that'll go to one of you lucky supporters. And did I have something else to say? No, I think we're good. Thank you so much, Peggy. Appreciate your super chat there. And yes, Lindy is saying beautiful Gaia pyramid. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Beyond Infinite Love is saying you guys rock. Yeah, we're doing our best amidst the difficult circumstances that we're in. Wow. Oh, and Lisa is saying, had a session with Meg. Oh my God, so amazing. Yes. Lisa, I know exactly how you feel. I felt exactly the same way when I had my my consultation with Meg. Such an enlightening time with her. So yes, I do agree. I love that. And okay, so I've been asking about how were you feeling, and I got a couple of answers surrounding this full moon. So Cheryl is saying heavy, sad energies, lonely, cried a lot today. Yeah, that's very, very normal, because Saturn in astrology, especially when the moon is there, the moon is how we're feeling. And when it's conjuncting Saturn, like it's the case for this full moon, Saturn makes us feel isolated, depressed. It's like a heavy, heavy energies pulling us down. So I try to be aware of that. And usually when I feel like that, I looked at where the moon is at in the sky, and usually it's close to Saturn. So you're not crazy, Cheryl. And I feel like this letting go, like taking the time to cry, to release the emotions in some kind of way, is very, very positive around this time.
Can I ask you, sorry to interrupt you, but are there signs that you think would be the most affected by this full moon being conjunct Saturn?
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring this up, because we're gonna go sign by sign later, and I'm gonna ask you to pull some cards. But yeah, I think first of all, Aries are going to have that in their 12th house. So I think there was a lot of healing involved for Aries, maybe a lot of things from the past reappearing. And I'm thinking Leos, because it's going to happen in their 8th house, which has to do with like difficult, sometimes transformations, crisis situation, karmic connection. So I think the 8th and the 12 might be the most difficult ones. What do you think, Meg? Do you have a feeling surrounding that?
I totally agree with you for sure. The Aries and Leo's sun, moon, and risings. And I think also for the Pisces as well, it could be an intense one as well.
Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
Ben is saying in tropical Western astrology, I think I have tree placement in Pisces, and today, even though I have lots to do, I feel lighter and burden free. Well, that's really good. So that means you've released a lot of emotions. Wow. Yeah. So if you have strong Pisces in your chart, releasing is going to be important. And yeah. So let's dive into the slide that I prepared for this full moon. And then I'm going to ask you, Meg, to maybe pull some cards to
Okay.
see if there is anything else that the universe wants us to know. So yeah, this full moon is happening in the sign of Pisces. It's at 7 degrees. So yes, I mentioned it earlier. 7 degree is the degree of Libra. So I feel like the releasing that we're being asked to do has a lot to do with relationships, and more so relationships from the past, because Pisces is often a past lives related sign or a past sign. So yes, it conjuncts Saturn. So I wrote here, and I think I did that like a month ago. So warning, mental health and feeling depressed, feeling lonely and isolated, health issues might come up for some. So if you know that, let's say you are more prone to have highs and down and low downs with how you're feeling, with your mood swings, this one might bring you down. So just be aware of it. But the best thing you can do surrounding that full moon is to do some form of spiritual practice or healing practice. So I feel like the singing bowl meditation that we're having tomorrow at the same time is going to help a lot of people to transform and transcend this energy into healing energy. Because otherwise, we can feel like dissatisfied and depressed. Um, and as I said earlier, full moon are endings, completions. Sign of Pisces is also a sign of ending, of completion, because it's the end of the zodiac cycle. So for most of us, we could be experiencing some endings, certain relationships endings, because it's a Libra degree, and some karmic chapters ending to make space in your life for new ones. So I think that's probably one thing that's going to appear for most of the people watching. So a karmic chapter that you were reliving, let's say from lives to lives or from years to years, might be ending right now to make space for something new. As also, we're preparing for eclipse season, which often brings karmic new beginnings. So that's interesting. And I wrote here, use this full moon to take some time alone, because Saturn and Pisces are both planets and signs that deal with being alone, and really honoring this alone space also. Meditating. Also, I wrote creating something artistic alone in your own bubble or space. So there's a lot of creation, because Pisces is also very artistic. So you can also, that's another way to channel the Pisces energy. So to create something, to channel from source and inspiration for a creation, and alone, because Saturn is there. So it's going to really amplify in a positive way the energies of this full moon. And nearly at that time, all planets are retrograde. Not a time to put things into motions super fast. No, 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 not a good time. Rather, it's a time to reflect, because Mercury and Venus are both retrograde. So it's good to delay important decisions if you can. And it's better to sit with any given information at this time, to really take some time to reflect upon that. And the best thing we can all do surrounding this full moon is do some healing. So Neptune sextiles Pluto at this time. Neptune and both Neptune or Pluto deal with healing. Neptune does deal with sound healing, with water healing, and Pluto deals with miraculous type of healing, energetic healing, also Kundalini healing, chakra, your energy. And it's really good also for psychological healing. And Neptune is going to sextile Uranus, which also deals with energy healing. So energy healing, frequency healing, having downloads, prophetic dreams, and of course doing some sound healing. So of course we have this beautiful Pisces full moon singing bowl meditation with Elena and Janine and myself. That's going to be tomorrow. So I think it's a really good way to channel the energy, because in astrology we say that the energy is going to manifest anyways. So you will choose the way that this energy will come into being. So if you are, let's say, engaging toward more like a spiritual practice, is going to shift the energies in a more positive way. So I think that will be a good way to shift the energies. I saw that you put the Rumble chat. Thank you so much. So yes, we are simulcasting on Rumble as well. And thank you so much, Raphaelite, for your, I was going to say super chat, but it's for your rant. So enjoy you too, so informative, Loyal. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Meg, anything you wanted to add to what I just said about this film before we pull cards?
Yeah, it feels like one of those, excuse me, one of those transits that we can really embrace or kind of pretend is not happening because we don't want to deal with it, which I think always makes it harder. When there's something naturally going on and we don't want to deal with it, it can feel a little bit heavier usually. So like you were saying, Julie, this is an amazing time to do some form of healing, and Pisces rules sound healing and dream work and rest. Things that are not, really intense kind of active healing modalities, but more passive healing modalities. It's a really good time for that. And reflection, and just kind of being, like you said, Pisces and Saturn both rule isolation, maybe being open to being in a little bit more of an isolated space, seeing what that alone time has to offer for you, which I know a lot of people can be really uncomfortable with alone time, which is very interesting. Because I was actually talking about this earlier today with someone. Alone time, I believe, is when we get the purest form of clarity about situations and ourselves, because we're not influenced by other people around us. And especially if you're someone who's highly empathic or sensitive to energies, we can get really easily influenced and plugged in into what's going on with other people. And sometimes we don't realize that we're actually maybe feeling more of what someone else is feeling, or even someone else's beliefs rather than our own. And it's really, really powerful when we allow for alone time and just be by ourselves and feel out how we feel about certain situations, relationships, ourselves. So if you do like being alone, I think that that's a really, that shows that you're at, not that anyone's better than anyone else, but you're in a very elevated space. I don't know what the right word would be, but I think it's a really good trait to be able to be in alone time. That's actually, shamanically and spiritually, one of the most powerful ceremonies you can do is actually like a vision quest, where you go alone into nature, totally separate from anyone else, and even more intense, separate from your local environment. Right. So I know that's like super Scorpio intense for me to say right now. I'm not saying anybody has to do a vision quest. You can if you want to, but things like that are really powerful when we're alone.
I cannot agree more with you, Meg. I think it was one of like the biggest challenge I had so far in my lifetime here.
Yeah.
And now I feel really good with that, but I noticed that a lot of people struggle to face themselves alone. And I feel like it's the greatest gift once you learn how to be at ease with yourself and be happy and really enjoy that alone time. So I think it's the greatest gift when you are able to get there, of course. We're having a special guest that just joined us in the studio. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, let's bring our special guest. Hey.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Very good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Sorry I'm late.
I wasn't expecting you, so you're not late. It's just a happy surprise.
I just came back home. I was in traffic and I was listening to you guys. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pop in. You guys are having a great conversation. How's everybody doing tonight?
Very good. That's a beautiful surprise. Thank you.
Yeah, very happy.
You're very welcome.
JC.
How are you feeling these energies?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, a lot of people were having some issues. So Sophie was having issues connecting, Meg also. So it's a good sign that Mercury retrograde can bring happy surprises too, not just bad ones. So I'm happy that you're here. And how's it been with
you guys?
How's it been for you, JC, the Mercury retrograde?
I haven't slept much in the last couple of days. A lot of tossing and turning. And oddly enough, last week I kind of slept for the first time in almost a month. And now I'm back to like just weird energies, tossing and turning. And a few, Sarah also had this, a couple of bouts of like dread, just like something bad's going to happen. And then it kind of fleets away and then it comes back in your mind. It's like, it's weird. So we were in the city though a lot, and there's a lot more, weird people and 5G towers, all that stuff there. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely something in the air. If you're looking at all the psychics, they're picking up something just around the corner. They don't know what. And I was thinking to myself, and maybe you guys can pull on this too. I'm like, am I listening to too much bad news? And that's why I'm feeling this dread? Or am I feeling the dread because there's actually bad news coming around the corner? What do you guys think?
I'm going to let Meg pull some cards. I think you are already, Meg. But I'm just going to tell you before. I think, JC, if we look at the zodiac, putting your sun sign on the ascendant, which is Aries, you have Saturn in your 12th house, and the 12th house rules dreams and your sleep. So Saturn is kind of not, how can I say that? It's kind of disrupting your sleep patterns. And especially this full moon, which falls with Saturn. So I think it's normal to get those.
Are you talking about my alignment specifically, knowing my chart, or you're talking generally for the public right now also?
Well, the full moon is going to conjunct Saturn for everybody. So yeah, a lot of people in the chat were telling us that they were feeling depressed, isolated. So that's Saturn. So those feelings of dread that you were talking about, that's very typical for the Saturn. Whenever Saturn is highlighted in the astrology, that's how we feel, especially when the moon is close to Saturn. We feel like, it's like a heavy energy pulling you down. So that's for everybody. But especially if you have it in your 12th house, then the house placement is going to change for everybody, and we'll get to that. But yeah, that can affect your sleep pattern and your dreams. Meg, what do you think?
Well, it just makes me think, JC, of what Julie and I were talking on the Beyond the Astro Woo, the new Astro Woo yesterday, excuse me, about how we were picking up on that the, dark arts people are going to try to fearmonger a lot this month. So you may be picking up on that. And we were speaking on, there's not actually anything to be scared of. Like there's not actually what we were picking up in the astrology and the cards. There's not actually going to be on this timeline at the present moment, some really, really bad event coming up, but it's more the push to try to create that from the dark side. So that's what we were kind of picking up on yesterday. But when we started this live video, Julie and I were talking about how we feel like we shifted some kind of timeline, because recording that video felt like days ago to Julie and weeks ago to me. And that was yesterday.
Crazy, right?
It's funny. You guys are already at 30,000 views on that video on Rumble right now. Really good reception. Yeah, great comments there too. You had between YouTube, I think Twitter and Rumble the other day, you had almost 2,000 lives on this. So more and more people are tuning into this. So a big thank you, everyone, for supporting us on this new concept show here with Julie and Meg. They're doing an amazing job. But going back to that too, you guys said, I wanted to ask you guys this, and I don't want to preempt too much of your show tonight. I'll go back to listening to you and your chart. But I was curious, and I'm wondering if the audience members are curious too. You guys were talking about, yes, JC, September is like a batshit crazy month. But it's really more the setup maybe for October, which is going to be even more weird. Did you guys pick with the astrology when perhaps in September we're going to start seeing some more crazy stuff? I think Penny Kelly has it around the 12th or 13th of September. Big Swear, of course, is talking about September 11th, 9/11. Cliff also in his data, I think he's looking at, I think it was the 9th to the 12th or something like that too, as one of those temporal markers. What was in the astrology for September, and when are those maybe critical dates that people might, think twice about maybe taking air travel or going too far away from home and just, being a little bit more vigilant? What were those dates?
Well, there's going to be a new moon in Virgo mid-September, but that one didn't look bad. It looked pretty good from what I remember. And Meg, I'm gonna ask you after if you if I'm making sense. And then Mercury will be direct as of September 15. So that's also good in the sense that some news from the past can seem to come back now or be, let's say, shared at that moment. But I think the weird part is going to be more towards the end of September when we have the full moon that's going to be in Aries, if I'm not mistaken. And that one seemed to be, as you would say, JC, batshit crazy, because it's going to be like a preview of the eclipse that we're going to have 2 weeks later, because the eclipse will be in the opposing sign of Libra. And when we look at astrology and the world, it's called the world axis. Whenever we have eclipses or strong astrological transits that happen either in Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, it's called the world axis. So it means that some stuff can be big happening on the world stage more than in our personal lives. Because I personally find that regular new moon and full moon have an important effect in our personal lives more than in the world and the collective. But eclipses usually affect more the collective. So I'm thinking more towards the end of September. What about you, Meg? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm sorry, you guys, my throat's a little bit funny. I agree that later in the month, it's going to be not even comparable to the energy of earlier in September and middle, because of what Julie just said, that full moon in Aries, which I was pulling some cards and got the Mars card, which is the ruler of Aries. Sorry, you guys. So if you don't know anything about that full moon in Aries, Julie and I talked about it in the new Astro Woo episode yesterday. So definitely go listen to that, because we went pretty deep on that. So that is going to be batshit crazy. And that's going to be the start of the eclipse portal, because we're going to have the first eclipse on October 14th. And that's going to be within range of, 2 to 3 weeks before an eclipse. The eclipse season starts 2 to 3 weeks before an eclipse, the day of the eclipse, the 2 weeks in between eclipses, and then the 2 to 3 weeks after the last eclipse. So that's when we enter that eclipse portal, which is going to be super intense. But more so like sooner dates, JC, I would say September 3rd, I find really, really interesting. And my spidey senses are going off on that, because all of the planets will be either retrograde or station, except for Mars.
It's my birthday, Meg. Don't give me bad news.
Well, I don't think it's bad news. I think it's a very powerful day, because Mars is the planet of energy. And it's interesting because almost all the planets are retrograde, but Mars is moving really fast direct. So something is moving forward in a really weird way, because there's so much retrograde at the same time. I think there could be some kind of maybe scare on that day, September 3rd or September 4th, about something having to do with war or physical conflict or some kind of explosion or something Mars ruled. But I don't feel it is something that, oh, this is going to be the next thing we have to deal with for 2 years, because we're still in retrograde city. So I feel like, and I'd like to hear what you guys think, while we're in so much being retrograde, there's not total clarity about what the heck is even going on. And then when, Mercury comes out of retrograde, September 15th, Venus is no longer retrograde. But then we go into an eclipse season, which is also really intense. So we're looking at the whole next 4 months. And Julie and I were talking about this again on the new Astro Woo yesterday. the whole rest of the year is going to be really intense, but October, November will probably be the most intense with the eclipses. So, and I'm just feeling spirit say, I think most of the people, our soul family watching, are prepared and have their shit together. If there's anything that you don't have together, do it now. So I'm not saying that in a fear-based way. I'm saying that in a loving way. And have extra things if possible for family and friends close to you. Maybe nothing will happen, but it's better to have extra water, better to have extra food, better to have batteries and all that kind of stuff than to not have it if we're going to go through something for a day or 2 weeks or however long. And I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying this is really intense transits we're going through where there's a lot of unknowns.
Right. I agree. Speaking of September 3rd, though, Julie, when we did your tarot astrology, didn't your card come out as the Tower card moment?
Yeah.
You're a walking Tower card moment. So, of course, your birthday could be a Tower card moment for everybody as well, just from the astrology and the alignments. I think
Yeah.
that would be funny.
It's funny because, Janine, when we did that workshop, the tarot numerology workshop, my soul essence is the Chariot card and the life mission is the Tower card. So she said lightning and thunder. So she was like, oh my God, you're bringing so much intensity.
Going back to the point from Meg, though, about the retrogrades, that kind of makes sense that September is a batshit crazy month, but October will be worse because I think by October we'll see everything that was in retrograde that we didn't understand, that we didn't have clarity on in September. Suddenly it'll start manifesting maybe more in our reality by October. And I think that's probably why October is going to be a little bit more rock and roll, like boots on the ground rock and roll for everyone. Another question there was this this idea that there'd be fighting in the streets. I'm referring to a Webbot data report from maybe 2 or 3 months ago, suggesting that we'd see humans fighting on the street. It was at 3 levels. 1, humans fighting immigrants or migrant caravans. 2, humans against government or government against humans, like actual fighting in the streets. And 3, perhaps all of the above, but also fighting ETs. And so that's what I wanted to ask you on the ET part. Is there astrology also that suggests that we're entering a time zone where that might be more likely than other times in the year? What do you guys think?
You mean the fighting part or the part that they're going to be amongst?
Well, the Mars thing is important for the fighting, right? But also the ET part of that. How does that tie in?
Well, in my opinion, well, anyway, we're having the North Node transit right away, the sign of Aries, which is the sign of war, of conflicts in general. And my intuition tells me that every time on Earth that there's been a conflict, there's been ET involved without us not knowing about it. So I'm feeling that it might just be more public this time around, that who's orchestrating all the conflicts and what's the agenda behind people fighting. But the other thing I was thinking when you were talking, JC, is that from now on until the end of the year, we got Pluto squaring both the nodes. So that's like a signature for rebellion right away and karmic events happening on the world stage. And at the moment of the full moon in Aries, which we talk about in great details in the new Astro Woo, it's going to be the full moon in Aries, and we'll have Mars, the card that Meg just pulled, conjuncting the nodal axis, so with the South Node. So Mars and the South Node together will be squaring Pluto. So that's kind of the traditional signature for rebellion. And people rebelling against not being able to pay their debts, being mad about who's governing and what's being made as of decisions. So I'm thinking that that's going to be probably the start of people rising up.
Somebody in the chat said, I'm in Chicago. Fighting in the street is normal, JC. Okay, sure. I think what Cliff was saying was in a bigger way, but he was talking about North America, and that brings Pluto into play, of course, here, the return for the United States here. We talked about that on the Pluto the Destroyer episode. There was another comment in the chat. I think I just lost it. No, I have it here on the Rumble feed. Let me see if I can share that with you guys here. There you go. No? Yes?
Yeah.
For some reason, it wasn't working. This one here, Jeb9224. My shit may be together, but I feel like I'm going to lose it. Don't we all? Let's talk about that. I mean, that's perfectly normal and very apropos right now, too. For a lot of people who've been awake for a long time, a lot of us are long in the tooth. A lot of us are frustrated, maybe that things are not moving as fast as we wanted to move. And at the same time, we're having to deal with people, friends, and family whose shit is not together, right? So it's a lot of stress on the individuals that have been preparing for this and who might be long in the tooth. So who wants to go first there? Like, is there any advice? Do we want to pull cards on that too? Like, how do we handle this weird stress that we're in now? We're in this weird lull period right now. We don't want them to lose their shit. Like in the last episode, in the last 2 episodes, Julie and I did with Penny Kelly, her message from her ET, benevolent ETs, was that the leadership of the call it the rebellion or call it the alliance cannot quit now, and that includes the people watching the show now who are holding the light, for their families and for their friends. So, what would be the advice there? Who wants to go first? You?
I can go. I'll let Meg speak after. Okay, interesting. I got the card that says create your heaven on earth. So it's funny because your question is kind of a bit depressing in nature, but the card is super positive. So I'm thinking that when we're faced with the biggest challenges, like right now, it gives us the most space to create newness out of what's been I'm sorry, I'm having some echo. I'm having a hard time to concentrate. I'm muting you both. So it's like we're faced with a lot of stagnation, but we're not seeing everything because the old world is collapsing, and that's making space for newness. So the guides were kind of wants to tell us right now that we can't focus on what's being taken out of our reality because we are here to create the new one. So everybody's main task right now is to create your own heaven on earth in your life, in whatever it means to you, in your own environment. And if we put all those little pieces together, it's going to be one huge creation and one new earth altogether. So I think it's important that we focus on the creation part of it, because it's easy to forget about that. But all that we knew before is collapsing because we're about to build something that we don't know, nobody knows about, because it's going to be totally new. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And going back to Jeb9224's message, if you think you're going to lose it and you're already prepped, then yeah, maybe take a beat, take a step back, and just start creating something. Go work in a garden. Go, I don't know, new project you wanted to do. Everything else is going to work itself out. You got to start aligning yourself and take a step in each direction of what you want to create. Maybe, yeah, that's a good use of that energy. Julie, I agree. Meg, you wanted to add to that also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to say, first of all, to the previous question that we were talking about. Sorry, my words are getting all mixed up. It's very hot here. We are creating our reality. And I was thinking about what Sol Rita was speaking on she was picking up that there's different timelines.
Right.
She was picking up that we're currently on the lower of 3 timelines, which is not a bad thing. We're not going down. This planet is not allowed in galactic law to fall. Okay, so that's not happening. We just happen to be on, like what Sol was talking about in our last DFO episode last week. We're on that lower timeline. So yeah, we're more likely to have maybe fights in the street, but I don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen. So let's create that doesn't happen, right? So we can create that intention, hold the space that doesn't happen. we cannot be scared of it. There's going to be, you know, the dark side of things are trying everything possible to keep us in a low fear vibration. So we, you know, we may hear from family members or friends certain projections from news outlets that they listen to that we don't listen to. And it's very important. Two of the cards that I just pulled are about communication. Okay. Gemini, communication, and Juno, which is an asteroid, which is more about partnerships, love partnerships. But I'm really feeling from these cards, like, I know for me, I, you know, have been very tired speaking out since the beginning of the past 3 years, very tired of having to sway people, to save people. I used to feel when people started getting certain medical procedures that I had to save everyone. And that was like a full-time job for like a few months trying to save everyone. And then I finally went, you know what? I'm going to zip it because they've chosen their timeline. And if somebody opens the door with me, then I will communicate. But there's a message coming through right now of it's actually not serving people if we just let people talk. Well, I heard this on the news and this is happening in Russia. And if we just stand there and go, okay, it's actually helps us to shift timelines. If we go, you know what, that's not even real. If we're that bam glitch in the matrix to someone, even if they're not ready to hear it, just go, you know what, that to me, that's not real. That doesn't resonate. That's not my reality. That's one of the most powerful things we can say. Gemini, say, that's not my reality. Cancel, clear, delete. Everything's fine in Russia, or everything's fine in the streets. Even if it's not in this present moment, we have to kind of fake it till we make it. So there's a strong message coming through of that. And also that we chose to be here and we're completely supported in being here. So sorry, I forget whose username it was on Rumble that was saying, I'm totally prepped, but I feel like I'm going to freaking lose it.
Jeb.
A lot of us, Jeb.
Yeah.
Thank you for that comment, Jeb, because a lot of us are feeling that right now. And Jeb, I hope you know that we chose to be here and we're supported in being here. And that's part of that initiatory process of being a light worker or starseed, is kind of to be able to hold that space. We go through, it's almost like a shamanic initiation, dark night of the soul, of having to hold space really intensely, of feeling like you're going crazy, but we're not going crazy. It's all okay. So make sure you have some kind of practice going on, or the fact that you're prepared is the best protection in the whole world. Because if anything were to really go down, Jeb, you're fine. And I really feel like things will not go into as bad of a place as we think it may be, because with Saturn and Neptune both being in Pisces right now, and this full moon that we're going to be having tomorrow is in Pisces. Pisces is about illusions. So this is another thing this full moon can bring up, is our paranoia, actually. And JC, you were saying, I'm having moments of dread and I don't know why. That's Pisces. That's Saturn conjunct Pisces. Dread, paranoia, anxiety for absolutely no reason at all. Illusions, or picking up on potential illusions, if that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, sorry if I just talked for a long time.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, you said two things there when you said this is not my reality. It reminds me of that scene in Star Wars. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? And so I kind of do that myself. It's not my reality, but I use the Chokeray symbol. I won't do it on the screen, but you guys can amplify some of your words by using symbols, a sacred geometry that means something to you as well. So you can add that. So I just thought I'd share that. Just like some people, when somebody smites you or a car cuts you off, you just have to go karma. And it's way more powerful than you think. You can detach yourself from it, and universe will take care of the rest. Sometimes you have to take care of shit yourself. I understand, but it really works. So you can try it if you're trying to detach from some of the stress. There was two questions. I have to go because I'm live in 2 minutes here on Rumble. I'll be with Joe here. Let me see if I can bring this up for you guys for the wacky woo, and it might get really, really wacky. So I'm just going to say that way. You guys maybe know what that means. But Ben Thompson was asking, he was saying that Cliff High said something about September 29th for silver. We're going to get into silver, gold, crypto, what's happening with Trump right now, Evergrande in China as well. And yes, in his data, it suggested that maybe September was the first time silver would be freely traded. So there's big happenings here, and that makes sense that we would see these big tower card moments in October as well, Ben. Jackie was saying, yeah, where's Jay Snip? That's going to be on the Wacky Woo here, starting in a couple of minutes on the Rumble channel. You can also find it on my YouTube, but within 5 or 10 minutes here, we're going to all shift over to Rumble here for that no holds barred conversation. So I guess that's it for me, guys. I'm almost there. I'm 2 minutes to go. Anything else you want to ask me before I go, Julie, Meg?
I can't think of something quick to ask you. Maybe, okay, your best advice for this Pisces full moon, Jason.
My best advice?
Yeah.
I'd say right now, my best advice would be to ground with the planet, to really detach from everything and ground with the planet. Go hug a tree, go spend time in your garden, go put your feet in the grass. There's so much energies hitting us at this level right now, and it's kind of bringing us in all of these directions. We're scattered minds, we're scattered brains right now, we're monkey brains, we're feeling this dread stuff. But yeah, really go ground. It will really help you out. Whatever way, techniques that works for you, I think right now is probably one of the best things you can do. And then everything else will get more clarity, and then you'll be able to take better decisions for everything else also.
I love that, JC. Thank you so much for your great wisdom.
It's pretty simple. Okay, I love you guys. I gotta go. And please, yes, join me on Rumble here in a couple of minutes. We're gonna start there with Joe and perhaps somebody else a little bit later on. So have fun.
All right, we'll join you in a few minutes.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Meg. Have a great night, guys. Take care.
Have a good night.
Right, bye.
Wow, that was a nice surprise.
Oh, Aries.
Mercury.
Aries coming.
I'm sorry. What did you say, Meg?
It was funny. We were talking about Mars, and then JC, like an Aries, just came out of nowhere very impulsively, and we got the Aries healing going on.
So true. And he was calling me, so maybe he was asking me if I wanted to have him live, but I was like, I'm live. Mm-hmm. Wow, I love that. So before we end the show, I wanted to ask you to pull some cards for the Pisces full moon, okay? I'd like to ask you, first of all, to pull the cards for what are the challenges surrounding this full moon, and then second card pull would be the blessings. So let's start with the challenges.
All righty. So the challenges and then the blessings. Okay. Wow. This is interesting. So the challenge, interesting. We got the square quincunx card, which is a type of astrological aspect, you guys, which is a point of tension. When we've got squares or quincunxes or swemmy squares, semi-squares, they're tension points. With the nurturing card, Ceres, which is an asteroid. So we're not feeling comfortable. We're not feeling nurtured. The challenge is things are very, very unstable. That's the truth. We're shifting ages. It's not supposed to feel stable, is what Spirit is wanting me to say right now. So Spirit's wanting me to say it's actually good news that it's not feeling stable, as funny as that is, because it means that we're shifting. We have to go through these tension points, like this full moon in Pisces conjunct Saturn, or this really intense full moon in Aries we're going to have later September, or the eclipse seasons, because this is what brings us to the midheaven card, the pinnacles, brings us to our highest potential and possible reality. So the challenge is it's uncomfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable. And if you're feeling great, like I think Ben in the comments was saying, I feel great, then awesome. I don't want to put onto anyone that you're not going to feel good just for the sake of not feeling good. But I think most of us are going to feel a little bit of tension, more moody, feelings of dread. So know that what Spirit's saying is that's actually a good thing. It means we're shifting. It means we're releasing and purging, as weird as that sounds. And the blessings coming through, this is interesting, our relationships. There's blessings. We got the Gemini card and the 7th house card, also the Cancer card. So our relationships, whether it's friends, that's interesting, friends and siblings and local community relationships, 7th house is committed love, relationships, and business partners. And Cancer is our family. So pretty much all relationships, Spirit is saying there's a blessing coming in to our relationships. So we can have some kind of healing going on with relationships, which I'll be honest, it might be hard. There could be breakups happening with this full moon. There could be people having the clarity about all kinds of relationships, but it is a blessing because it's helping us to move forward into our highest potential reality, collectively and personally. So yeah, like JC said, and he said it sounded simple. It was so simple, whatever. But no, sometimes we forget to ground to the earth because there's so many distractions. So
interesting. Thank you. Wow. Because, you're referring to what JC said about the grounding. And that's making total sense with the card that you just pulled for me, because Saturn is also the planet of, we feel isolated from oneness, from source, from connection with others and the earth. But that's always an illusion, right? We know that anytime we think we're isolated, we're actually all the time connected, interconnected to everybody and to everything there is. So by reconnecting with the earth and with the element of water, let's say, it's going to make your body remember that you are nurtured by the earth and you are connected with source, even if when you think that you are not. So I think it's the illusion of isolation, and Pisces rules illusion, and Saturn is isolation. So it's making total sense with the cards that you just pulled. Wow. Yeah. And I feel also the other thing I wanted to say, that I feel like we'll be throughout the days surrounding this full moon, liberating a lot of past patterns of how we've dealt with relationships. And that probably is relating to the blessing that you just pulled, because I think that those relationships will be able to thrive even more, the ones that are in alignment with you, of course. But I think that by liberating what's been heavy on your subconscious, maybe it's patterns that you've inherited from past lives that are still burdening you. And by liberating those, by, let's say, any kind of spiritual practice or the meditation or anything else, I feel like it's going to allow us to have even deeper and more meaningful relationships. So I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. Well, thank you everybody for sticking with us, and we'll go and watch the Wacky Woo with all of you. And right before, don't forget to join us tomorrow. Thank you, Lexi Laura. Appreciate that. We'll be doing this live Pisces full moon singing bowl meditation with Elena and Janine. So that's going to be tomorrow, August 30th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And of course, as with all of the other meditation, the replay also will be available if you can join the lives, and it's as powerful as the live. So this one will be about letting go and healing the past, so we can have more meaningful relationship and feel like the burden has been lifted off of our shoulders. So you can join us right now on the beyondmystic.academy website, and it's a sliding scale principle, as always, from $22 to $222. And if you are experiencing financial difficulties, please let us know by email, and we'll make sure that you can join us with this powerful collective meditation with the beautiful Elena and the beautiful Janine. Well, thank you, everybody. And lastly, also, don't forget to book your reading with Meg if you'd like to have more personal questions answered, of course, with your astrology, because we try to do this show to answer some of your questions, but nothing beats a one-on-one consultation. So, and when you do so, also don't forget to enter the code Beyond Mystic in one word for 10% off. Wow. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you. Thank you, Meg, for joining us on the road. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Sorry for being late. Love you guys.
No problem. It's Mercury retrograde. Bye, everybody. And see you. We'll be there at the Wacky Woo show. Bye-bye.